Hi, welcome to video number 2. So by now you've got your horse pretty good at yielding. I should say you're giving to pressure with your hand very easily and at the halter and looking right and left. So the next thing that I do, and I use that to help me with this. And so I want to make sure that my horse is comfortable with my hand over her muzzle. So if my horse wasn't comfortable, she would probably lift the head or she would look away. So if she lifts the head, I'm going to show you I have my hand right here on my halter. So if she lifts the head, I'm going to turn a little bit here. If she were to lift her head, she would run into the top of the halter and know how to give because of the last exercise. So I know that she can be successful. So if she's a bit uncomfortable with this and a little bit fidgety, I'm just going to take my hand up here first and just pet on her. And then I'm just going to have a firm feel of her so it's not ticklish and just bring it all the way down and take it away. And you can see she licked her lips, so that was pleasing to her. You want all of this to end up feeling pleasing to you and your horse. So I'm going to do that again. There she lifted her head. And I actually didn't have my hand in the right place for her to run again into it. And there you can see she's nuzzling my hand there with her nose. So I waited till she accepted it and I took my hand away. And I had left it there a little bit longer than I would if she was a bit troubled. So you want to find a way to work with your horse until they're comfortable with your hand there, because you're going to put your hand there for the bridling and you don't want them to feel like they need to get away from it. So that's the first thing I do until my horse is very comfortable with my hand at their muzzle. And you can work at that and get a change and then come back to it again later. Don't try to get it perfect the first time if your horse is a little bit fidgety about it. Once they're good with the muzzle, I'm going to come down here on the side with my fingers over the front and my thumb, and I'm going to put my thumb right in the crease here of her lips, right here in the corner of her mouth, and I'm going to ask her to open her mouth. And that's all I'm going to do, which you might have already done that if you've done some worming. So I just stick my thumb in there very nicely and she opens her mouth. And what I'm looking for is that she'll open her mouth, accept my hand here without lifting her head. That's good enough. All she knows is to open her mouth and that there's a reward there. That's good. So the next thing I want to make sure is that she's not troubled by me touching her ears. So if there is at all any sensitivity, I'm going to go forward first and just pet on her ears. So I can pet here if I think there's a sensitivity, and I can pet here. And if she's really sensitive, I'll just come forward like that without even touching the ear. But then over time, I'll work till I can stroke it with my hand until that's seamless like that. And again, however long that takes, it doesn't matter. If your horse is troubled with your ears, then you'll just work on it a little bit, get a nice little change, and go off and come back to it again. Once she's comfortable going forward with it, I'm going to go ahead and stroke them backwards. And I might do the same. I might just pet on her here and just put my pet down between her ears and down her neck, right along her mane. So I'm just taking my hand like that. So I'm not really even addressing the ear per se, that my arm just happens to nicely stroke the ear without focusing on the ear. And that works really good for horses that are ear sensitive as well. But I'm going to work at that until I can really comfortably touch the ears and she's not troubled at all. That's going to be really important for the bridling, because you don't want to feel like you have to sneak them over the ears. Because if you're sneaking your bridling, your horse knows it, and you're just missing a little bit there to develop comfort and trust. And that will show up somewhere else later for sure in your riding. Okay? So the last thing I do, once I have all of those things worked out, is I can use my lead rope and put that in her mouth ahead of time to make sure that she's comfortable putting something in her mouth. What I like about this lead rope in particular is it's soft. So if I accidentally bang her teeth or something, it's not going to be the metal bit banging against her mouth. So I'll show you how I do that. So I'm going to use my hand here to drop her head. I'm going to put my hand over here and I'm going to bring the lead rope around, and I have it in my right hand, and I'm going to bring it down right behind her ears. And then I'm going to take a hold of the halter here so that I have her head, that I can keep it anywhere I'd like it to be, and I'm going to bring it just a little bit towards me. So then I'm going to take the other end of the lead rope in my left hand, and I have a hold of it here in my right hand so that it doesn't slide. So what I'm going to do is, this would be exactly how I would use the bit. I'm just going to put it in my hand, in my palm, and I'm going to bring it up to her muzzle, right where her lips are there, and then I'm going to use my thumb, and I'm going to open her mouth and just bring that right into her mouth, just like that, just like the bit will be. And it's a little bit bigger than her bit, so she's mouthing a little bit. So I'm going to wait till she gets quiet before I take it out. That's important. And as you can see, I have pretty good control of her head, that if she has to move it around, she'll know how to yield to that and not try to get away from this lead rope in her mouth. I'm just going to wait on her here, and I can pet on her, so I'm holding the lead rope with both ends of the lead rope with my right hand, and I can pet on her here until she accepts that. It's not low in her mouth. Good. If your horse is really, really fidgety, if there's even a little bit of acceptance, you can let it out of her mouth. There, she's going to yawn, so that's a good sign. So now I'm just going to take it again with my left hand, and I'm going to just guide it out of her mouth, just like that. And then I'm going to pet on her. So you'll repeat that until your horse is very comfortable opening her mouth, or his mouth, with just a little bit of request with your thumb. So you don't want to have to stick your whole thumb in their mouth, but you might need to put it in there just a little bit to encourage them to open their mouth. So get that really good too. So they really get a sense that there's a willingness to open their mouth, and they've gotten a reward for it, so it's not troubling to them at all. I'm just going to let her work at that for a moment. That's nice. And again, you can't pet on your horse enough. That really does reassure them. Good. Now she got quiet, so I'm going to use my left hand and just take it out nicely. So that's all there is to it in this video. You're going to work on first having her comfortable with your hand over her muzzle, and so she's really comfortable again. You touching down there and not feeling like she needs to get away. You're going to work on making sure your horse is really comfortable with you touching her ears. And then you're going to bring the lead rope over her head and use it as if you're going to put the bit in her mouth. And you're going to repeat that, and again, finding some success with each one and going on and coming back to it until all of that is seamless. Till it's very, very easy. Again, what we like to do is just one step at a time. We don't want to feel like we have to get the horse to understand 2 or 3 things at once. And if at any time, if I'm working on something and like for example the muzzle, and yesterday it was good and the day before it was really good, but today I go to do it and they're really fidgety and they're not giving to the halter, I'll go back to just square one, giving to the halter again until that's good, and then I'll go to the muzzle. I won't try to make two things happen there. And that's really important for the success in building trust within your horse. And each day is a little bit different with you and your horse. So you want to learn to be reading what's going on and finding ways to communicate to make it really seamless for them, because they really are a very willing partner by nature. We just need to listen to what's going on and find a way that they can best understand, because when they do understand and they know that there's a reward there, it's amazing what they will do for us. So thanks for watching this second video in this series. Have fun with this, and we'll send you the next one in several days. Happy trails. And as you can see, she's looked off. So I'm just going to ask, a great opportunity to get her to give to that halter. Thanks so much for watching.